My name's Chris, Sonnex, from the Royal Court Theatre, Artistic Associate. The Royal Court Theatre, of course, is the playwrights' theatre. Always at the forefront is politics.
So I started working on the Boys Project about a year ago. Chris had already been doing some amazing work as a pilot for it. I went all over London to try and find guys that were right for it, and we held a few workshops getting to know each other, and then from there we went across the country.
Meeting boys from council estates and some really, really great partners, teaming up with the Royal Court and Bryony Kimmings to meet boys and create political art.
This idea that there's a certain demographic of young men, particularly like 16 to 25, that are being kind of demonised by the media and by there's a general undercurrent in society that these young men are bad and will always do bad and will never amount to nothing and be bad. And this whole project was set up on the basis that that needs to be challenged.
And they say your future's bright, Jay. It doesn't matter if your skin is black or white. Let's see if I get my tuition paid on time without complication or confusion. Listen, fuck the Fed. I'm sorry, that's just my form of Tourette's.
These are boys that are told systematically that they're nothing and they won't amount to anything and they don't belong. The boys shied away from whenever you talk about politics, they don't necessarily want to talk about it. It's not for them, it's not addressed at them, so they don't care. But their politics were very, very strong, and they were very angry about things that were happening that were outside of their power.
So this was a great opportunity to really work with some of those lads and really look at how we could find opportunities for them to be engaged, to discuss, to converse, to talk about some really pressing issues of our times.
That led on to a lot of the boys that we'd met and we'd put together, going up and down the country and meeting political activists, writers, economists, people like Owen Jones, people like Akala, and the boys really learning from these brilliant people.
We've tried to do things where we build their economic knowledge, build their knowledge of the political systems so that they have the language and the dialogue to be able to counteract that, and then they can apply that to their art, which gives them the voice to sort of shout and rage about that in the language that people will understand and can actually take it seriously, rather than it being a rant or just loose words. We're trying to structure that so they will be listened to, and I think that's really key.
We've been slaves since the trench fire, in the wire, interns trying to earn stripes, while refugees Steve trying to learn to write. They got to churn that white, the same paper they'll burn that night, keeping trees on the verge of life. Media circle tight through the arbitrage cartridges. Long gone the days of articles of armistice. Another one, gunned down, sundown, murder spree, murder. Making a kill enough hyperbole as daylight burglary, absurdity, gross domestic perjury. The health service needs surgery. You see, I've read all about who's running this shit.
And you can see that these are sort of hungry political animals who are fed up with being isolated and sidelined. And you can see that their brains are tick-tocking and noticing everything that's happening to them all this time. They're not a dumbfounded minority. They are a very aware minority that they're being treated in this way. And at the same time have the skills and the articulation to understand how to create that in story and in narrative or in imagery.
Chris, obviously from Royal Court, Josie from the Roundhouse, and myself from Mac, we got our heads together to think about a bit of a kind of system and a way and a framework to do that.
I was looking for a place to bring boys from all over the country to come and settle and rehearse and create art. I stumbled across Hawkwood. I looked at the space and I thought, wow, for me coming to, like I say, 41 acres of woodland and this lovely mansion-esque place, it's them being in a place that goes, well, of course I'm here. Of course, why wouldn't I be allowed here? Why wouldn't I allow to be in a manor house surrounded by beautiful forestry and animals prancing around and birds chirping on the trees? Who's saying I can't? And it's underneath everything, actually, of all the work that we've created. It's changed the power. It was about bringing the community together. For a whole week, we are a community of artists. And it feels quite freeing.
We're here in this huge country house in Stroud, which is literally in the middle of the countryside on top of all these really nice rolling hills and country lanes. The nearest shop is a 30-minute walk from here. And to take a sort of a load of creative, lads from sort of inner city areas that might not necessarily have the resources to travel out of, their areas, let alone London, and let alone the areas in Birmingham or Manchester, and they're now sort of halfway across the country, in the countryside, and that in itself is liberating. Speaking to people and then like the air, just little simple things like the air is so fresh, and there's sort of all the old buildings that are, just new to their eyes, and it's all new stimulus. They might come here and be like, whoa, what is this? This is not normal.
We're from big cities, so we incorporate all of the baggage and the angst that big cities bring. But what's interesting is that sometimes you've got to step outside of your environment to then be able to look at your environment.
It's good to get away from the hustle and bustle of the city into an environment that you're definitely not used to. But, the country has calmed down me as a person. It's made me reflect on certain things, which is great as an artist. It's always good to reflect because it's all about writing down things that are important to you.
The workshop starts from the moment you enter the building. The moment I entered Hawkwood House, the workshop started. In fact, the workshop actually started on a train on the way in. And then the workshop doesn't end. At a residential place, they've got days to think about it. And so they may come back and question you on a Wednesday with something that you said on a Monday.
It's been incredible because it's an opening, inspiring space. That there isn't any outside influences, there isn't anybody saying that you shouldn't be here, there isn't anybody distracting you, there's no family issues that are immediately there. We're not thinking about when do I need to go to this job interview, when do I need to pick up this, when do I need to go and see this person, that person. It's all about creating that art.
They're all starting to realise and get this human connection because that's all we have here. There's no TV. Obviously we've got Wi-Fi, but this whole setup is encouraging people just to talk to each other. And I think that wouldn't happen in an inner city environment because there's so much going on where we've got this peaceful sort of tranquility that allows people to actually connect as humans and sort of build on those sort of holistic relationships that they don't necessarily build on sometimes.
The beautiful thing about this week for me is bringing guys from across the country together. Although they might be from similar places, they're not from the same place geographically, and they have loads of differences, and they might not have met in any other situation. And to have, a spoken word performer work with a visual artist or an actor work with a musician, that might not have ever happened for them, and open roads and pathways for them.
I myself, I'm a poet, so I deal very much with the written word. But, we had Sabrina, she's like a playwright, so she's in terms of the ideas of, okay, yeah, we've got the words now, and we've got the ideas now, but now how do we try and set them in terms of like characters?
We're working with a lot of spoken word artists and a lot of rappers and musicians and musical artists, and they understand imagery very clearly. We can talk about an image that they might create in a song, and then we could then see what that looks like on stage and how we just move and shape that so that the audience, so that they're aware of how they're controlling the thing that the audience are going on to.
There is a world now that is starting to say, what is theatre? It doesn't have to be a play. We can have a bit of grime on it now, and we can have someone painting in the background, or we can have somebody just dancing and a monologue being recorded over. And as long as there's an audience, as long as there's somebody listening, that's theatre.
It's really important not to ever swoop in and out, so not to go in and say, look, we've provided this for you, see you later, have fun, good luck on your journey. I think it's all about continuing relationships. So even if we can't provide, a studio, then we point them towards somebody who can provide a studio. We can work with the writers, or and creating that relationship and community that will thrive for a long time.
The experience here has been pretty interesting at giving us that space and that freedom, and to just be completely devoid of day-to-day life, and to give us all the space to create. That's like it's been really overwhelming, and it's been overwhelming, but in the sense that it's very handleable. So more whelming. It's been very whelming, and it doesn't feel like I've been away for a week. It feels more like I've had a really good long day at school.
These boys will create, giving an opportunity, will create the most incredible pieces of art in whatever their discipline is. And it's our responsibility as theatre makers and theatre institutions to give them freedom. Freedom of not worrying about how I'm even going to get to the place. Freedom of knowing that they should be there. that theatre's back them. And if anybody could just be in a room with these guys for an hour, 2 hours, artistic directors up and down the country would be vying, battling it out to come and sign them up and go, come here, come and do this.
This is the underground. Yeah, it is the underground.
One day, one of them will have a play on in the Royal Court Theatre. I 100% believe that.
You see lots of projects. It's nice, we make performances, but then it doesn't go anywhere. And I think the big thing with the Boys Project, we're really trying to invest in these lads and start like a bit of movement for them to sort of advance their careers, but alongside that, keep their integrity as well. So their voices are reflecting, you know, all the other lads across the country that are in the same situation.
Dancing